Hello, everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you're all doing very, very well. Welcome back to another episode of the Day After podcast. And today we're going to be speaking about, obviously, the result against Crystal Palace, 0-0 in the Premier League. We'll obviously talk about everything surrounding the club as well. There's plenty of talking points. And I am joined today by Nina, Charlie, and Ziad. So big up to all of you guys. It's the first episode of the brand new season, so I feel like we have to do like a proper introduction, you know? I mean, Ziad, how's it going, mate?
I'm good, man. I'm amazing. New season, new vibes. I think the best vibes I've had going into the season since probably Tuchel coming after the Champions League win, man. So it's good. Manager completely changed my opinion on him. New players, listen, it's good, man. It's good to be back, man.
Life is good. I probably agree with you, to be fair. I haven't felt this good since Tuchel. What about you, Charlie?
Yeah, all good, mate. Yeah, for sure. We've discussed it before. Yeah, the vibes definitely feel good going into this season. The positive feel around the club, excitement about what we might be able to do, and yeah, it's good to be back, and it's nice to have that feeling again because it has been a number of years now since we've had that. So yeah, no, mate, it should be a positive season hopefully.
Hey, listen, we didn't get the result we wanted yesterday, but I think that we can all still agree that there's an optimism. I don't think one result can change that. I mean, Nina, I saw you yesterday before the game. We saw that massive queue outside Stamford Bridge. We had this big ticketing problem, but we all got in the end.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, wasn't it? But guys, don't say that about the Tuchel season after because it all came crashing down. So it better not be the same thing. Like the level of excitement is good, but yeah, we all thought we were pretty much ready to win the league after that, didn't we? So yeah, I mean, it's exciting, definitely, but I also think, like, just from a pure fan perspective, yesterday was disappointing. Obviously, the game wasn't great, but also because we were just so excited to go and see something similar of what we saw in pre-season. So that was just the disappointing kind of aspect of it. But yeah, we'll obviously get into the game and stuff. But yeah, I'm good otherwise. Nice to see you guys.
Hey, listen, I tell you what, a lot of people might be wondering about why we're doing more of these virtually. To be honest, guys, it's just a lot easier. It's a lot easier, and I think everyone prefers it. We will still do stuff in studio, like occasionally. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But when you've got a schedule, a busy schedule, and stuff like that, and you want to get things done, it's difficult because everyone's coming from a different place. It's easier for some than others, and I don't know. I think we could be a little bit more consistent as well with the virtuals. So let us know what you think in the comments. I mean, the sound quality, you can see everyone still. So I don't think there's going to be any massive differences there. But I mean, let's get started, guys. Let's get started. I mean, obviously, we all watched the game. I know Charlie and Nina, you were there. Ziad, you weren't there, but you were still watching from home. What did you make from the performance? I mean, let's start from the beginning. What were you thinking in the build up to the game? Because I can speak for myself. I was pretty confident. I didn't think that we'd lose the game. I didn't think it would be easy, but I think most people would have said it would be 3 points.
Yeah. To be honest, yeah, it looks like now looking back at it, I was probably overlooking Crystal Palace and not realizing that they're actually a very good side who had a very good season last year. I was going in exciting. Esteval, Gittins, João Pedro, all these guys making their debuts. And the vibes coming from the Club World Cup final and the performance and the summer who were going to sign. Slight negative, obviously, with the Cole injury, but I still felt confident and I just wanted to see us play properly again. You know, the preseason we basically didn't have. But yeah, going into the game, I was obviously confident and I was happy to see what was going to happen. But that didn't turn out to be exactly the same case. But it happens. I think first half was poor. It was quite poor. I don't think anyone can sit here and say they had a good game. The only one I could say, even for the whole game, had something decent was probably Caicedo, but everyone else, a couple standouts in terms of like really poor. I think Enzo Fernandez.
Oh, you're getting straight in there.
Yeah. Listen, man, I'm not gonna listen. We're not gonna do this overreacting. Any of overreaction that a lot of Chelsea fans love to do, and a lot of rival fans want to put it on us in terms of, oh, look, you overreacted and whatnot. These guys are clearly upset about how well we've been doing in the last couple of weeks and winning the trophy. But yeah, like I said, going into the game, I was very confident. I didn't expect us to play the way we did. I didn't expect us to look tired and fatigued. But again, I put down to me underestimating Crystal Palace and not realizing that they're actually a great side. And as much as we were bad yesterday, Crystal Palace were very good. They were very good, especially defensively. So we got to give them credit as well. But I'm not concerned. I'm not worried about anything going forward. But just I got a little bit of maybe a slight wake up call in comparison to how going into the game, and then what reality was, to be honest. But yeah, apart from that, it's move on for me. It's not a big concern.
I mean, is anyone concerned in here, or are we all pretty relaxed?
Concerned
still?
After one, we're sure we're not doing this concerned thing after
It's
90.
just a question.
Social media is a lovely place, Charlie.
Maresca,
I told you about Maresca.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Like, obviously, of course, it's disappointing when you don't win. You always want to win every game you play. Obviously, that's not going to happen. Of course, you want to get off the season off to a winning start. But yeah, we were flat. First half was poor. Yes, we were off the pace. We were slow moving the ball. We didn't get the attackers involved in the game. Everyone looked sluggish and whatnot. We didn't look as sharp as we did against Leverkusen or Milan. But and maybe I expected that, and maybe it was a bit naive to expect that. This was our first proper competitive match against a proper side. Let's be real. Leverkusen were terrible, and Milan were down to 10 men after 15 minutes. Those weren't really proper tests. This was our first proper test against a well-drilled side, a good side, with good players, and they played very well. Yes, I think it's important as well, but two things can be true. We weren't good, but let's not focus on, we were terrible, because Palace were very, very good as well, as Ziad said. They defended very well. They were a threat going forward. Eze, particularly first half, was outstanding. Mateta was a threat. I know he didn't really have that many opportunities, but he always felt he could maybe produce something when the ball went up to him. But I felt we defended reasonably well. But I don't know why people are so surprised that we were flat after such a small break. We should have all known that there was a realistic chance this season might be a bit of a slow start because of our short break, because of the Club World Cup. A draw against Crystal Palace really isn't the end of the world. Why should we be panicking after one game? There's a lot of new players in this team, limited rest. And having said all that, we could have easily won that game. I know it's ifs and buts, but we had the opportunities to win it. Andre Santos, that chance at the end, if that falls to Enzo, if it falls to Palmer, if it falls to an attacker, that's probably a goal. And we win that game, and it's a slightly different conversation. Look, football's fine margins, but I don't think it's a surprise that we were sluggish and off the pace yesterday. And it's definitely not a cause for concern, after one game. If this is still the case at Christmas, different conversation. But I think right now, one game, why is there any need to panic?
Yeah, I said to you, Alex, didn't I, in the fan cam, that if any Prem team is allowed a slow start, it's probably us, because of how chaotic this summer has been. And like I said, you talk about individuals like Enzo Fernandez, a player that's literally been running to the ground with how many minutes he's played for Chelsea. So it's not absurd to think that we're not up to full fitness. And again, you expect to win because of how good our streak has been with unbeaten pretty much, and we had a loss in the Club World Cup, but it's been pretty smooth sailing. And again, obviously, arguably the spotlight is on us because we're Chelsea fans, but like these guys said, Crystal Palace looked very good, and they actually made it a tough game for us. So you have to consider that as well when you talk about our performance. They made it difficult. They were forcing errors out of us, and they were pretty relentless as well in some of their pressing, and that is tiring, to keep up with. First day of the season. So I just choose to justify that performance with these reasons I have just said. And it really wasn't any of our attackers' days. We have games where it might be someone's off day, but across the front line, I didn't think anyone really did enough to actually danger Palace. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think there was ever a moment where I looked at Henderson and I thought, we actually tested him or dangered him in any way.
Didn't make him make one save. Didn't make one save in that game.
He had a save from Delap.
Yeah, straight at him. We didn't force him to do anything. Like, what I mean is like decent, proper saves. He saved the Delap shot that was right at him that weren't really traveling at any speed. Like, we didn't create chances. It was simple. But
I think the shed end had to do all the saving because all the shots were going up and into the fans every single time.
A lot of our struggles come from the build-up at the back. It was slow. We were too slow. You can talk about midfield, and yes, Caicedo was decent, but he was in there on his own. Enzo Fernandez not fit. We know that. It's not. You can see that he played 60 minutes of football in 1 month. Didn't play against Leverkusen. Played against Milan. I've got any concerns about him. He's not fit. He's not ready. Maybe don't start him till he's fit. That might be just an idea. But it all comes from the back, and people want to say that Colwell, he's crap, he's this, that he's that. Oh, it doesn't matter. We don't need another defender. We need another defender because the way that we build up is so important. Colwell is so important to setting a tempo of those attacks. The way that he breaks the lines of the passes, quickly moves the ball into midfield, and we progress the ball forward quickly. Yesterday, no fault of Achimpong's, young kid, loads of talent. Actually felt he had a decent game. Once he'd got a few shaky moments out of his system early on, but you can see the difference when Colwell doesn't play. The build-up is so slow, and that's part of the reason why we struggled, in my opinion. And look, Achimpong could grow into that role, but I don't think we're in a position now where we're expected to challenge for the league this season, where we can just be not signing another centre-back and just saying it's fine. We'll bed Achimpong in and he can learn on the job. It's okay.
It's the whole team, though. I think, Charlie.
It's the whole team as well. Sure. It is the whole team. The
whole. Funny enough, the only time I think we even gave any kind of threat towards the Crystal Palace, which was rare, but the only time we did is when we were playing the ball quick and we were playing movement and the counter attack and the people were actually moving. But that was very rare and it didn't happen.
There was movement though, Ziad. There was movement.
It was
absolutely nothing. They were all just staring at each other.
That Crystal Palace had all of their players behind the ball.
But there was no movement.
A lot of those moves were
You're never going to break down a low block by just standing there playing slow football.
Oh, there was no movement from anyone.
There was movement from João Pedro. We couldn't find him.
Movement from João Pedro? Are you mad?
Yes, absolutely.
Are you sure you're watching that game?
I was watching the game. 100%.
There was movement from João Pedro.
Yes, there was definitely movement from João Pedro. We found him at times, but not in threatening areas.
I must have been watching a different game.
I
must have been in a different. I must have gone to Craven Cottage by accident instead.
There was movement from João Pedro.
There wasn't.
There was, but we weren't finding him. We weren't feeding him.
We weren't finding him because there was no one to find because he just
the football was so slow. I almost fell asleep.
That's so harsh.
I almost fell asleep.
It's not harsh.
I actually feel sorry for you guys that were at the game. Because I was at home and I almost fell asleep watching us.
Oh, God.
Side to side. But listen, I'm not.
First game of the season, I thought we were going to ease into this podcast. Bloody hell.
No, we are. But what I'm saying is.
You guys actually said don't over.
No, but let's not say that, there was movement up front. There
was from João Pedro, but we weren't finding him.
He was moving. There just wasn't
it's normal.
Playmaking into him at all.
Like you guys said, though, it's normal. It's very I've never seen before in my life Premier League footballers after the first game of the season fall to the ground out of tiredness and fatigue. I've never seen it. It's the first game, but because the reality is, this is our preseason. This is the players' preseason. It is because even the Leverkusen and Milan game
now than later, though, right?
Exactly. And the Milan and the Leverkusen games. I'm sorry, one was played on Friday and the next one was played literally on Sunday. I think if you look at it, the whole squad, each of them played about 60 minutes in a month. Of course, they're going to be bloody tired against Crystal Palace, who are a very good side. It's normal. But let's not sugarcoat it. It was slow football. It was boring. We didn't do anywhere near good enough to try and actually break down the low block. Okay, we didn't try to cut inside and try isolate Gittins one-on-one with the defender. Nothing. Which is fine. I'm not worried. Like I said, this is the players' preseason. Those two games don't count. 60 minutes in a month. Yeah, of course they're going to be bloody tired.
We did look out of ideas on how to try and break Palace down. We didn't seem to have that many ideas. Delap should have come on earlier. I think the subs should have been earlier.
Let's just stick to the first half quickly because we're going to progress through. We're going to get there.
Nothing happened in the first half.
There's a lot to talk about. There is a lot to talk about. So, I mean, the first thing is the defense. So we're talking about Achimpong. We can all agree that he was solid defensively, but it's on the ball where we feel like we're missing Colwell. So it's the build-up play there. Now, I had a conversation with Don after the game, and I was sat next to Don, so he was talking about it the whole time. And he was talking about all the different profiles in there. Obviously, we know that Maresca likes tossing, although I'm sure there was a story today that come out and said that Maresca's not happy with any of them. I can't remember if it was The Guardian or someone like that. Don't quote me on it. And Salmino apparently is the only other player who fits the profile, but he's obviously right at the bottom of the pecking order. So I don't know if the club are not going to go into the market, and if it is really one of those situations where we are going to play this type of football without that profile, I don't actually see a better option than just, looking at a player like Anselmino and then rotating him with Tosin. Because if that is the fundamental problem with this team, is the way we build up and the fact that it's slow, and Maresca is actually targeting that one area because he's not making anything else public. He's publicly complaining about that one position. Then it makes me think, well, okay, we don't have the right profiles. Actually, that's not true. We do have the right profile, but it's just not necessarily the player that we thought we'd have to rely on this season. And we clearly bought Anselmino in for a reason. We think he's a good talent.
Bro, he was signed to fit for profit. Come on. He's barely kicked a ball for us.
Well, he's only just signed. Signed.
No, he was signed a while back, and then he spent.
He went back on loan, right? And then
he went back on loan, and then we recorded in January. Didn't kick a ball for us at all.
He wasn't supposed to, right? And that's fine because we had Colwell, we had Toss, and we had Chalobah, we had these guys.
But he was barely involved in the Club World Cup. Literally played hardly at all against Leverkusen and Milan. If this guy was a viable option that was going to be used, then why is he not making squads?
Well, I think that was before Colwell got injured. So your point is
where
right.
Where was he yesterday then?
Situations change.
Where was he yesterday?
But that's the argument I'm making. I'm saying maybe he should come into the fold now.
No,
because we don't have Colwell and because we might not go into the market.
Anselmino, whatever the guy's name is.
Anselmino is not playing for us this season. That's not a viable option. I'm sorry.
I think Achupong had a good game. I think
he had a good game as well.
If
we're complaining about what he did on the ball, right? And we're trying to find profiles. You can't just play Tosin every week. You'll get injured. You need to rotate him with someone. So are we going to rotate with Achupong, or is there another player?
No, if we stick with what we've got, it'll rotate with Tosin and Achupong. If we stick with what we've got, Anselmino won't be part of the plans this season.
I mean, I reckon Badiashile, they might give him a go.
Yeah, Badiashile as well. Like you'll rotate between if we don't sign anyone, the options at centre back will be Fofana, Badiashile, Tosin, Chalobah, and Achupong. That'll be the 5 we go with, and then you'll do some sort of rotation if we don't sign anyone. So players like Anselmino, if I'm wrong, fine, I'll hold my hands up and apologise. I'd be stunned if Anselmino was part of any plans this season.
Nina, what's your take on it?
Well, I told you yesterday that even last week, before we kicked a ball on Sunday, I think it's clear to everyone, at least most people, that I think what we have as options in defence is not enough, in my opinion, for this whole season and what we have in store with Champions League games, with the Premier League and how competitive it is and how much teams have strengthened their front lines. I don't think it's crazy to say that what we have is not going to cut it. I wanted to sign a centre-back before Levi Colwell got injured. So now, if anything, it's heightened. And people, I think, misunderstood me yesterday when I was talking about the fact that we need to address that area, that the problem arose from the game. Like, okay, I totally get that Josh Achupong is an exciting player and he's great. I'm not taking away from that. But do people really believe that Josh Achupong can be like the player that we saw yesterday sustainably over the whole period of the season and the games that we have, and with slight rotation? It's a big ask to ask of a player that's just come in. And again, Wesley Fofana, the idea at this point is just better than the reality. Let's just call it what it is. You can't really rely on him to be fit for more than 3/4 of a season, and that's actually probably pushing it, actually. And again, even the other players you just mentioned there, Toes and Badiashile, like, they're decent players, but again, I just don't think that is enough as a defence. You can't be in a conversation to be competing and pushing for a title with these as our options. It's not even being negative. It's just the reality. And yeah, okay, we can maybe say that our midfield and our attackers will protect those mistakes and mask that because we'll outscore our opponents. But that is not going to be the case. And we all know that. So that is definitely an area we have to address. But, it kind of has become really, really negative already on this podcast.
No. It's
definitely reality. If Enzo Maresca is calling out for it and he says and thinks that we need it, and the club, insists that we can solve this internally, I'm siding with Maresca here. It's definitely something that needs to be looked at. So I'll give us the benefit of the doubt. There's still time to address it, but our options are very scarce. And, we're quite confident in our fullbacks, but let me not remind you that one of our fullbacks is also quite injury prone. So it does beg the question over the course of the season, ignoring yesterday's game, because essentially the defence wasn't even the problem, was it? It was a 0-0 goalless draw. So that tells you that we kept a clean sheet. We couldn't score goals. So not necessarily the defence in that game solely. Like I said, last week I would have had this conversation, and it is something that I have been discussing. We do need a little bit more there to offer. So, and what happens if one of these players we just named there gets injured too? Then what happens?
But that's the problem, right? It would be slightly less of an issue if Badiashile and Fofana could actually stay fit. If they had like track records of being fit for majorities of seasons, it would be slightly less of an issue. But the funny thing is, right, Chelsea wanted to sign a centre-back anyway. We were desperately tried to sign Dean Huijsen from Bournemouth at the start of the window. We desperately tried to sign him. And so Chelsea saying they don't want another centre-back. People saying we don't need another centre-back. The club tried to sign Huijsen when everyone was fit. So this idea
it's a great point. So
it's nonsense,
he's the right profile. He's a good age. He fits the qualities we want. Who else is in that bracket that we could sign in this market?
But it's like
someone.
I think we have to get someone. But do you know what this reminds me of? Right, it's a little bit. Obviously, you don't know what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks, right? We could end up getting a centre back, but this feels quite similar to when Tuchel was desperate for another left back, and we didn't sign him one, and he had to use Kennedy. It feels like a similar situation.
Who do we sign? Who do we bring in?
Look, for me, I think
Gerhard doesn't want to come.
That's the obvious one. Now, if he doesn't want to come, which I think is obviously quite. It seems that's the case. Maybe you try again, just one last time.
Especially after the Matthew Arde, and everyone was calling him a wanker after the disallowed goal.
Maybe you try one more time for him, but like he signed a new 5-year deal at Everton.
Not in our price range. That's 80 million there.
But we need someone because, like I said, I think Charlie's right in terms of if Fofana and if Fofana and Badiashile could actually stay fit, then I don't think we would have that much of a problem. No. But if we don't sign anyone and say, let's just rely on Fofana and Badiashile, and then when they do get injured, because most likely it's not if, it's when they do, we are going to want to look like stupid. You know what? It's our fault we bloody relied on you. You know, like, let's be real. 8 times out of 10, you're going to get injured.
But relying on them as well, also, you've got to preface that with the fact you've got to hope that Tosin, Chalobah, and Achimpong stay fit for the entire season. Tosin's already missed the game. So, not only are you relying on 2 people who can't stay fit, you're then hoping that the other 3 options you've got stay fit for an entire season. I would
be surprised if we don't get anyone, because not only the Huijsen one, which, let's just play devil's advocate, say that one was a market opportunity and, they saw talent and they didn't want to miss out on. And the only reason we didn't get him is because of Real Madrid. There is news out there that even after the Colwell injury, Chelsea went in for Gerhard, they went in for Braithwaite, and they went in for one more. I think it might be the one from Bayer Leverkusen in a Cape or something like that.
Jonathan Tah.
No, he's already
gone. But so I think, I don't know, maybe it's just a Chelsea brief in the media that we're not going for anyone and we're happy. The same way we say about goalkeeper options, but look how long we spent and went in for Mannion.
Yeah,
so
it's nonsense, isn't it?
These things don't make sense. What the club are doing and what is being briefed, it doesn't match at all. So, but I would be surprised if we don't sign anyone, because I'm sorry, losing Colwell out for, listen, as I know he should be out for the whole season. Like, based off his injury, he should be out for the whole season. But we all know now these players do get rushed back, so he'll probably be back like within March, which is not great. But listen, that's basically the whole season. So we do need someone, and I would be surprised if we don't get anyone. To be honest, what level and what caliber and what player, I couldn't tell you, but I think it's going to be someone.
Yeah. And also, if we don't, then that means that the club believes that which player is almost fitting to what Levi Cole offers, or is as good as Levi Cole is.
It'll be Achimpong will be their thoughts.
So that's what they believe.
So I don't know.
I don't think if we don't sign anyone, I don't believe the club or the owners or sport directors, any of them will think, you know what, I'm happy with what we've got. I don't think it is. I think if they don't sign anyone, they genuinely believe there's no one out there that they feel it is worth the money and worth the headache.
I think that's fair as well.
I don't think you'd be like, okay, we didn't get Gerhard. It's okay. I'm happy with what I've got. No, I didn't get Gerhard because I don't think there's anyone out there to replace Colwell. I think we just stick with what we've got. We're not going to spend for the sake of it.
I don't think
there's ever go into the season and say, yeah, we're happy with what we got. I don't think they will.
What happened in January? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it was the same in that sense. I'm just talking about the centre back here, and that's what's come out is they trust Maresca's ability as a coach, and they believe that he can get the best out of what we have. There's no doubt we have a lot of centre backs, though. I mean, you can't deny that. Then you just have to look at quality and say, is it good enough? I would personally say that I do think we'd be able to manage without a centre back. I do believe we'd be able to do it, but Maresca's got to tweak something. He can't do everything that he's already been doing. Something's got to change. And if we have enough quality up top, then I don't think there's any doubt that we are going to be able to outscore teams. I overheard someone saying that earlier, that we're not going to be able. I think it was you, Nina. You were saying we can't outscore teams every week. That's exactly what we did. A lot of last season up until December.
Season, yeah.
You can't do it you can't rely on
not every game,
over 38 games.
I don't think we're going to win a league. I think we're going to win in the Champions. I think we're going to compete in the Champions League. I think we're going to be a top 4, top 5 team. I think we'll probably finish third. That's my prediction. And I think that, being able to do that in a number of games, and you will have games where you drop points, I think it's enough. I think it's enough to get where we actually believe we're going to go.
Not bad for Fofana, though. That's if they could stay fit.
Yes, but I'm not even saying it's Badiashile or Fofana. I'm saying it could be anyone, right? All of the list of centre backs that we have.
Are you honestly happy with Champions League football?
Not happy. But I think we can get Champions League without.
You think it's all right going into this Champions League campaign to have Tosin, Achimpong, and Chalobah as your main rotating centre backs?
Well, Fofana will come back. Badiashile will come back.
You can't rely on them. So the main rotating core is going to be those 3.
Well, again, that's provided. I mean, they could get injured and someone else could come back. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. The point is, we've got a lot of options in there, and if we're going to complain about signings, I think that we actually did get the ideal replacement for Colwell, who could also be versatile and play on the left as well with Hato. I actually thought Hato would start against Palace, and then when I saw Mateta, I thought, fucking hell, maybe it's not a bad thing we started Achimpong. He's tall. It's massive. So overall, if you're asking me to say, am I unhappy with what we're doing? I can't say that. We've done more good things than bad things. We've got 2 strikers.
But no one's moaning about the window, though. It's this specific,
that's what it sounds like.
It's this specific situation. This is not about the window as a whole. The window as a whole has been good. This is specifically in regards to the centre-back situation.
I mean, let me ask you this, Charlie. Do you think we'll finish in the Champions League even if we don't sign a centre-back?
Yeah, I think we probably will, but it will be much harder than it needs to be.
And I think that's
what we've got to aspire to more than
directors will be thinking, right?
I think it goes back to what your expectations are.
We've got to aspire to more than just being a top 4 team.
If you want to challenge, but one thing I can tell you, Charlie, is we're better than last year. We are better.
So are other teams, though.
But I believe Chelsea have progressed. I think we've got better, and that is all I can ask for. Yeah, if we get worse, it's a different conversation. Right, maybe it will happen. I don't know, but I think that we look better. I think we've got better options up top. I think our midfield is better. I actually think, in a lot of respects, you could say our defense was better, especially before Colwell got injured. But then this is come up. It's certainly a hurdle. Yeah, obviously I want a centre back, but then if we go and sign Garnacho and Simmons, we've got even more strength in that team, and we've seen that. Right, we may not be able to pass the ball out a certain way without Colwell, but we can still get clean sheets. And then ultimately, you're relying on moments of magic. We've got Palmer, we've got Esteval, we've got Enzo, who, when he's fit, is actually a very, very creative player. We've got players capable of showing moments, and I don't really think that it's a huge cause for concern. I just think that Maresca's got to adapt something, and fair play to him. He has adapted. He has adapted at times, so he just has to do it again.
But one thing I would say, Alex, is that it doesn't look great if we don't sign someone. I think to look
it doesn't look great, but it's like, again, what's your point when you say that? Because Charlie just said we can finish in the Champions League without a centre back. I think we will.
It's not okay. We might finish in the top 4, but what I'm saying is, for the manager to come out and say what he said, and then for the club not to react and back him after the month we've just had, it doesn't look great. Regardless of the end of the season. The moment the window finishes and we don't sign a centre back, after Maresca repeatedly saying he needs someone, and individually calling out each player and saying why he thinks they can't play the role he needs, for us to not to sign someone, it doesn't look great. And I think it's just an unnecessary.
Needs to change the role then, doesn't it?
On the fans, on the manager, and then it's just more excuses for the fans to say, "We told you, stupid sporting directors. This is why we've been wanting you out for the last 2 years." You know,
the sporting directors have never been my problem.
He's earned the right to ask for a centre back. Like, he's earned the right to say, I need a centre back. You know, he's come in first season, Champions League, and 2 trophies. He's earned the right to demand a centre back. And if we want to progress, he's earned the right. He wants a centre back.
He is demanding a centre back.
He's demanding a centre back. And do you know what's great by him coming out and saying this publicly is that any nonsense that comes out that tries to say, oh, he's happy with the options, he's this and he's that, we know is rubbish, because he said more than once publicly, I want another centre back. We need another centre back for how I play. You've employed this manager to play this way. You believe in this manager. Why would you then not bring in someone to help the manager play how he wants to play, and you've employed him to play that way? Why would you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I still feel confident, mate. I'll be honest. Like, I'm pretty unfazed.
Yeah, but we want more than just finishing in the top 4.
I want more than just Champions League football.
That's like saying you're in a relationship with a girlfriend. You want a threesome. She says no. You got to fucking live with it. You got to live with it. You might want to explore your options. You might want to see. You might want all these different things in life. You just have to get on with it.
You got to find an internal solution.
Get on with it.
You find an internal solution to that problem.
Moving on, guys. Let's go back to the positivity of how exciting.
But it's true though. Like, if you've employed a manager to play a certain style and he's asking for a player to play that style, why are you not doing it?
All right.
I mean, listen, he's playing a certain style of football, but you can tweak it, right? We've seen that we've tweaked it.
But why? If it's worked.
Well, so let's just change our whole build-up then for the whole season.
It's not about
just sign the centre back.
He's a fucking manager. It's his job to adapt to the circumstances.
And it's their job to make his job easier,
has
not
to
harder.
adapt. If you're too stubborn, if you're too stringent, then you will lose.
No, but he has shown adaptability as a manager. He absolutely has.
He has.
And if this has happened in season, then he would have had to have adapted, and he'd have to put up with it. Absolutely.
Let me tell you this, Charlie. If I didn't believe in Maresca like I didn't for a large part of last season, then I would agree with your point, and I would say, you know what, this guy's a bum. He can't play without a defender who plays a certain way. But he's proven to all of us he's clearly capable of managing at a high level, and he deserves some patience and some time from fans. He has better options in every part of the squad, apart from that centre-back role. Apart from that, he has more goal-scoring threats. He has a stronger midfield. He has depth on that left side.
No one's disputing that.
So you have one thing that you don't like.
All I'm saying is, it's just, okay, he might be able to adapt, and we might still finish in the top 4, okay? But I just feels like we're making it hard by not signing a centre-back. We're making it harder than it needs to be, and I think we're taking an unnecessary risk. That's it, basically.
Hey, listen, we'll agree to disagree, but I mean, let us know what you think in the comments as well. I think it's been a good debate, to be fair. And you know, it's a debate that I'm sure we'll have throughout the season as well. Because there's no doubt that other players will get injured. We'll certainly have rotation that comes in with European games, and if we take our domestic cup seriously as well, then you know there'll be plenty of conversation around who starts and who doesn't, because we can't just have 2 11s like we did in the Conference League last season. And to be fair, we did that in the domestic cups, and that's why we went out. So you know, there's certainly a lot of things that have to change. Moving up into the midfield. I mean, we saw Cucurella inverting, which I personally really prefer to see instead of Reece James. Reece James was spraying a lot more passes. It looked like he was the player in the back line who was trying to create. What do we make about that setup? Is that something that you think we'll see consistently, or you think we'll still see changes there with James coming into the midfield at times as well? You're on mute, Ziad.
Well, maybe James coming into the midfield. I think advancing a little bit more, and maybe we're talking about centre back. Maybe that's a slight solution, and dropping Cucurella a little bit backwards and playing him in the back 3. You know,
okay.
But maybe I think I probably do prefer that. I think Reece James' passing ability is out of this world, and you want him as high as up as possible. Obviously, not bombing up and down, which I don't think he would do in this system. But yeah, I think Reece James playing a little bit more forward and maybe letting Cucurella stay a little bit backwards, because he's good going forward, but I don't think he's amazing. I don't think he's anywhere near as good as Reece James obviously is going forward. So
I think Cucurella's a goal scoring threat. That's the thing. He scores goals.
He was, but I think Reece James was. I think I'd rather see Reece James up there.
He's definitely the better crosser, that's for sure.
I think that's the thing with someone like João Pedro up front. It's I think the dynamic of a Reece James and João Pedro, or even Reece James playing with and linking up with Pedro Neto or Palmer. I think I'm more comfortable seeing Reece James up there, or more advanced position than Cucurella. Cucurella's fine up there. I'm just saying that because he's played in a more defensive back three, Cucurella before, so I don't think anything would be surprised to.
I mean, we've only got West Ham on Friday, so again, we're talking about still being in pre-season. I think we'll be fine.
Don't say that now,
man. Fine against West Ham. It will be fine. So you want to see a game that looks like pre-season? Tune in for that one. And generally speaking, we've got pretty. I won't say easy, but West Ham is easy. But I mean, apart from Man United, until we go to, we got Liverpool in October. Like, we haven't really got many.
We've got Fulham. We've got Fulham, Brentford, and Fulham. And what is it? The first 5 games in London. It's what Palace.
It's
West
all in
Ham,
London, mate. It's
Fulham,
all in London.
The first month is all in London.
And what's the other one?
I think we've got United as well.
Well, United's the 5th game, isn't it?
Oh, is it? West Ham, Fulham, Brentford, and then United after that.
Yeah,
and Brighton at home.
So we've got 4. Yeah, so we've got basically first 4 games are in London.
So, but I guess the thing about that is we are going to have to learn to break down low blocks. I think we're going to see a lot more of that.
And I was going to say that's exactly what Maresca's probably solely focused. Obviously, he's made it clear about the centre-back situation, but I think Maresca this week is thinking more than anything, how are we going to break down those teams that sit back? Because I think, let's not forget, we know that's an element we've struggled with and was always an area that we'd try and work on now that we've got so many more playmakers and exciting players in this front line and in the attacking midfield areas. So that's definitely something that he's probably looking at and working out. Do you know what I mean? We played a lot of teams that were quite open in the tournament over summer and let us play our football. We had our spaces. We could drop into pockets a lot more easier. We could break the lines. But that is something that we really, really struggled with. And again, that's credit to Palace because they ensured that they shut out all of those dangers from our perspective. So, yeah, that's something that he's going to be looking at to work on. And again, we know that's tough. But if we look at Crystal Palace solely as a team themselves, like in the last few years, they've taken points off City and Liverpool in the league as well. Do you know what I mean? They've made it tough for these tougher teams. And it's not always been easy with all the creative outlets and, the best strikers in the league. They have made it difficult. They have a lot of physicality as well. So I think Maresca's definitely going to be focused on how to break these teams down. I think, again, I said Mateta won pretty much every aerial draw against any of our players. That's something that we could never have done. And again, these are areas that he'll be looking at addressing. But I'm still so excited to see what this front line has to offer. In terms of our attacking positions, we have a wealth of talent. We have players who are able to offer creativity. And that's something that, we'll be really focusing on how we can do it against teams that will be compact like Palace, that will sit back, that will make it difficult for us, will press us from the back. So, yeah, I think, again, just to spin a little bit more of a positive outlook on this, I think, I'm not worried. I think we've all seen now what the ceiling for Chelsea is, and I think we've seen us at our very best, and we know what this team has to offer. These are the same players that were scoring goals for fun. Palmer, João Pedro, at the tournament, Liam Delap, with some of the shots as well. Like Charlie said at the start of this video, it could have easily been a cheeky 1-0 in the end had he scored one of the opportunities at the very end where we had a couple corner kicks in quick succession. There was almost a moment where he had an opportunity for a diving header, but he just didn't quite connect with it. So that makes a difference. And in any other game, he probably scores that. And at least from Liam Delap, you can see that he scored goals like that. As well, but those players are still there. They've just literally been playing this whole summer, so let them have some rest, hopefully recover. And again, West Ham hopefully is a good opportunity to get our first 3 points, but I just hope we will, because then the noise just becomes too much around the club, and it really does actually affect the players more than we realize. You know, they hear everything, they see everything. And I think right now we just need to be a little bit more, maybe even patient. I'd say right now is probably the time that they deserve this patience a lot more than ever before, because at least we have actually seen what they're about. Enzo Maresca actually has a reason to be trusted, not like last summer, guys, when he came in and he had pretty much just been the championship winning manager that nobody really was excited about. So now that he's actually won a couple trophies, he's been with the team, he's shown us what he can do, then well, let's see how it goes. Like I said, it's just the first game of the season, and we'd rather it be now than this be a draw that potentially makes us all, like, leads us into a mid-season slump, like as it did last season when it came to December.
It's sad to say, though, just before you go, Charles, it's sad to say, and it's annoying to say, but if we don't win against West Ham,
people will be losing their heads. They'll be gone.
Especially it's West Ham side. I just got slapped by Sunderland. I swear to God, if we don't win on Friday, mate. And it shouldn't be the case.
No, it shouldn't be the case.
It will be the case.
It absolutely will. But just briefly on the attack, right? Yeah, it's exciting. But I do also feel there is an element of risk when you change so many attacking players in one summer. You know, you've now got in the attack, you've got Delap, new. Pedro, new. Esteval, new. Xavi Simons will be new. Garnacho will be new. That's like 5 new. Gittins, new. That's 5 or 6 players new, all going into the attack that are either first season ever in the Premier League or first season at Chelsea. It's exciting, and they're exciting players and they're exciting talents. That there is a risk element to that as well. Changing that many players in an attack, that is going to take time for that to gel together, and that's going to take time for those players to get used to how Chelsea play and get used to playing with one another. So it's exciting, and it's nice to see these players come in, and we have upgraded in positions in compared to what we previously had. But we also have to acknowledge that by bringing that many players in, it's going to take time for that attack to start gelling and that attack to start clicking. So there is a risk element in that as well.
Charlie, do you think that? I mean, you were just talking about how many new players come in the front line. Does that remind you of when we made all those signings under Potter in January, or do you look at that? I mean, I know that obviously it's not as many, it's not as extreme, but if we look at the new signings we're bringing in or potentially bringing in, they are pretty much all going to be playing quite regular football, I would say. They're not going to be on the bench all the time. So do you think that's going to help, or does that still concern you?
Let's make no mistake about it. Of course, it's an element of risk when you bring in such a high volume of players into the attack or into any position of the pitch. Is that there is an element of risk there that, you know, they're not all going to instantly click. You know, that it's going to take time to get used to it, get used to how Chelsea play, get used to how to play with each other, how to form partnerships, combinations, and whatnot. For me personally, look, I'm pleased with the business we've done. I just think, all right, Esteval is one of those players we signed in the previous summer, but he's new to the team now. You're looking at 5 or 6 new players in an attack, with the majority of them very inexperienced, the majority of them first season at Chelsea or first season in the Premier League. You are taking a significant risk there by doing that. That's the point I want to make is that there is a big risk level attached to that.
No, I think that's a very fair point. I will say that out of those new signings, especially in the front line, I'm going to highlight Esteval and Delap. I think out of all the players, those are the 2 players that I believe will be very crucial for us at certain points in the season. I think if they're utilised properly, they can really help. And the reason I mention those 2 is I think that I personally don't think that Gittins will be able to carry Chelsea on his back. I don't get really much of the hype for Gittins. I don't think he was worth 55 million. I think he's a good player. I was all for the signing. I just think he was overpriced. I think João Pedro is a player that when Chelsea plays well, he plays well, and he makes us look even better than if we're already good. So he almost looks like the cherry on top. And then when I look at, obviously, Xavi Simons and Garnacho, we'll speak about that if they ever come. Esteval, no doubt he can carry this team on his back when he's on form. He could have easily scored a goal. It looked more clear-cut, the chance he had from behind MHL, but when I watched it back on Match of the Day, it wasn't actually that easy. So I was like, fair enough. But I do think that he's going to be a match winner in many, many games. I see him as a player. I got a text this morning from Michael, who you know, Charlie, and he said that was the best or most exciting debut I've seen from a new player since Eden Hazard when he first came out. I said, fair play, Michael. And the second point with the Lap I'll make is that I think the Lap is one of those strikers that if you're not playing well, I believe that is where you can actually get the Lap to thrive, because there's a player who has the counter-attacking attributes of Nicholas Jackson, but he has the directness to actually have a crack on goal as well. And he's a bully. He's a bully. And I think that there's going to be so many games where we look disjointed and we don't look 100%. And this is not me trying to predict Chelsea playing bad football. It happens to everyone, right? Especially around that December period. And you want players who are just going to get stuck in. And I think the Lap is definitely going to be a great option in those games. I think those two players are going to be really crucial for us.
Just Esteval, by the way, give it a few weeks, maybe after the September international break, he'll be starting on the right side. He'll be first choice on that right wing. Give it a few weeks, and then it's in a few weeks. I mean, weeks can be months. I mean, after September international,
game week.
It won't be game. It won't be long until he's starting on that right hand side regularly. But I know hindsight's great, but. And I fully understand why Pedro started. No issues with it. When you look at how Palace were as a team, physical, not bullying, but a physical game, strong, getting stuck in, that in hindsight weren't really a game that was going to get the best out of Joao Pedro. You would have been better off playing a Liam Delap type profile for me in that game. Physical, doesn't mind a battle, doesn't mind getting stuck in. Maybe it would have made more. And maybe going forward when we encounter those types of games again, we will see Delap maybe start more of those games than Pedro. Or maybe you play Delap and you start Pedro in a 10 and you stick Palmer on the right or whatever it is, and you maybe switch it up a little bit differently like that. Maybe that's something we got to do in those physical type of games, because they're probably going to suit a Liam Delap much more than a Pedro as an out-and-out 9. And I just feel yesterday would have benefited from Delap coming on. I'm not saying if Delap came on earlier, we would have won, but I think we would have benefited more by him being introduced a lot earlier than he actually was.
I think our attack is good, but I agree. I think Esteval's going to be starting a lot sooner than people think. I think Neto's going to be moved over to the left-hand side. And I think Esteval, I think Gittins has been, it's still early to say, but I think our team going forward will probably be better. In the terms of that attack, listen, I think it's safe to say Xavi Simons and Garnacho, like you said, we'll talk about it more then, but Xavi Simons and Garnacho are Chelsea players, and the only thing I'm slightly annoyed about is that I just think Gittins and Garnacho, they're not great. And a lot of people want to hate on Jamie Carragher and what he says about Chelsea, which I don't agree with a lot of what he says, but I agree with the fact that we've gone from Madueke to Gittins, Madueke to Garnacho. Let's not say like Gittins and Garnacho are light years ahead of Madueke.
Similar level.
Which is slightly annoying. Say that again.
Similar. I'd say it's a problem. Similar level.
Well, that's the problem. We've gone.
Yeah.
We've
they
sold
probably suit the team. They probably suit the system better, but in terms of a level,
they suit the system player. I think the quality of the player.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, which is, and to sign Gittins and then get rid of Madueke and sign Gittins, they're like, okay, whatever. But to get rid of them and then also sign Garnacho on top, just like it's a bit frustrating.
But you know what, Alex? I said it to you yesterday. Sorry, mate. That it's not about Garnacho being better than Jamie Gittins, right? Whether you think that or don't think that, but Garnacho will start a lot of games on that left-hand side, and when he comes in, he will be ahead of Gittins in no time, purely because the guy is way more ready to play Premier League football. He whether Chelsea fans want to admit it or not, Garnacho will start a lot of games for us this season when he signs, and he will be the first choice on that left-hand side because he's more ready to play in this league than Gittins is.
No, I'd have to agree with that.
I'm not shitting on Gittins or anything like that, because I think he's a good player. But obviously, if Garnacho comes, he is more ready to play and he will start more games, in my opinion.
So, one of the things I noticed on Twitter, I was looking, I shouldn't do it, but, I look at some of the
comments. Can't help yourself, mate.
Tweets. Yeah, mate, you always have a pop, don't you? You always have a look. And I go, people are getting so stirred up, just the fact that there's like a debate about things. Like I asked the question, I was like, Do we start Enzo Fernandez or Santos against West Ham? I'm just asking the question. That's all I'm doing. People go, "You're a disgrace. You shouldn't be having that. How we doing all this?" And I'm thinking, I'm not sitting here saying I think the guy's crap, but Fernandez had a bit of a slow start last season. Maybe this is a reoccurring theme for him. I don't know. We always know Hazard used to come back from pre-season and he was a bit slow. There's nothing wrong with that, but I mean, Fernandez was poor the other day, and I do think that Santos had that really, really good chance. Should have done better on a more personal level. And this is not just Santos, this is Estevao and Gittins, basically all of the new players. There's got to be an element of nerves in there. I mean, you're playing in the Premier League for Chelsea. Like, that wasn't quality. It's not a lack of quality when those chances are missed. I think that's more mental. I think that's nerves. I think the more they play, the better they're going to get. I mean, Nina, we spoke yesterday about the midfield. What do you take from Fernandez's performance? Would you stick by him, try and build up his fitness and confidence that way? Or would you go with a player like Santos, who I think you could probably justify starting? Although, if you are an advocate for Enzo Fernandez, I can also appreciate that would seem harsh to just drop him after one match.
Yeah, no, not an option. I personally wouldn't have even started Enzo Fernandez in the preseason games. I don't really understand why he did. I wish Maresca gave him a bit of a break, to be honest. But yeah, again, like I said, Enzo and Caicedo among them, I'm pretty sure as Chelsea players probably played the most minutes last season. And again, that was because obviously we had Lavia out for the majority. He wasn't able to accommodate or offer different midfield options. And that it just meant, but they were good, right? They were good. It worked. Their partnership finally had formed and blossomed, the partnership we envisioned, and we both signed them for loads of money. So I don't know. I think with Santos, and I just want to go back to your point, Alex, about justifying that nerves play a part. Pretty sure that opportunity came very late on. It was maybe between 80 and 90 minutes. The game is nervy. Someone wants a winner, and it's almost like that opportunity falls for you, and you just feel like you have to take a one-time hit and try and get it in. He definitely had time to stop the ball, control it, and then go for a shot. But in that moment, it was just almost like do or die for him. And yeah, it wasn't a thing. But again, he is a young player, an exciting one that, again, we're keen to see. At one point, I thought we probably won't even see him in a Chelsea shirt, but I'm glad that we do have him. Definitely talent in there, but also a really, really big ask to ask him to play that role from the get-go. I don't know. I'd definitely ease him in this season a little bit, but I wouldn't drop Enzo Fernandez. I think, like you said, I think he deserves the time to get back to full fitness. Let's not forget that Enzo Fernandez played through injury for us as well in many, many games, and he almost just seems like he's been dragging himself through at times. So there was definitely that kind of fatigue you could see in him. And a lot of the times, like, the ball was played out, or there was an overhit cross, or I can't remember if you guys I don't know if you guys remember, in the first 5 or 6 minutes there was a really good attack that we strung. It was literally like, it was perfect. I can't remember who it was.
Yes,
but
I know what you're talking about. Yes,
you know what I'm talking about. And then I think Enzo Fernandez had the last touch of it, and it was one of the first guide shots, and that could have been an absolutely superb goal, and it changes it. But again, these are just little moments that you can justify with players having that. If it does go on and it becomes a bit of a pattern here where we're seeing these performances from him, then fine. But let's not all forget the Enzo Fernandez that we did have last season, and how great he has been. So yeah, it's good to have these options there, but like a player like Santos, he will make mistakes, and that's just how it is.
I mean, the way I see it with Santos and Enzo Fernandez is, I mean, the way you described it, Nina, is almost like, we've got a lot of respect for you, Enzo. We're not going to disrespect you and drop you. Okay, which is more of an emotional standpoint, which is fine, because obviously the players want to feel valued. I get that. But if Fernandez is going to make mistakes and then Santos is going to make mistakes, I'd probably just lean towards Santos anyway, because I go, well, you are our number 3. You're certainly not in front of Enzo in the pecking order, but I've got a clear reason why I should start you over Fernandez. One of the things that happened last season is we continued to play him again and again and again and again. And, he had a really, really poor spell. And then I remember we went to Panathinaikos in Greece, and it started to get better after that. It did get better. And if he needs a couple of weeks to get back to full fitness, and that is something that you can justify. I mean, the proof's in the pudding, obviously. I don't watch the players train. You can see what his fitness results are. You can see what his stats are on the pitch in terms of how much ground he covers, etc. If he is not ready, then it doesn't make any logical sense to play him. So, I mean, that's the standpoint I'm going to take with this, is that Santos is clearly ready, because otherwise he wouldn't even come off the bench. I mean, any player who's trying to break through, you're not going to get minutes if you're not ready. But also, I mean, if we are going to look at an emotional standpoint, we just rejected a bid from West Ham. What better way to introduce yourself to the West Ham fans than scoring for Chelsea on an away day? I mean, that would be absolutely golden. That's like Lavia or Caicedo scoring against Liverpool, as far as I'm concerned. I know it's been a short saga. It's not even been a saga. But to have a bid rejected and then watch that player score against you, I mean, that would be unbelievable. And let's not act like West Ham are one of the top teams in the league either. I mean, if we're going to look at it from that standpoint, João Felix, when he was with us, and Dewsbury Hall, the only games they were starting were against the relegation sides. I think the way West Ham are playing now, don't quote me on
they're
it,
in trouble.
They could still sign some players. They look like a relegation team at the moment.
Yeah, agreed.
So you can justify it from a number of angles.
Yeah, but I think you've got to be careful, though, approaching games expecting to win, just thinking you turn up and you'll win.
But it's not like we're putting a bum on the pitch. Santos is one of the best in Europe.
No. I'm not in terms of that. I just mean general feeling heading into a game, like from a team perspective. Like if you turn up and you think you've won, like you've seen in the Premier League, if you're 1% off it, anyone can beat anyone. You know, like and that's what makes the league so great. Yeah, in theory, Chelsea should beat West Ham on Friday, but games aren't done on paper. Games aren't done in theory. We've still got to turn up. It is a difficult place to go. I know we won there last season, but prior to that, our record at London Stadium was dreadful, really poor,
mate. It was
not good at all. So it's not a place we particularly enjoy going to. Of course, we've got better players than West Ham. Of course, we're a better team than West Ham, but none of that matters. What really matters is how you deal with the occasion and the 90 minutes, because really, all of that's irrelevant if you don't turn up and play your best. I mean, look, whatever combination of players we put out on the pitch, we should be beating West Ham. But as Ziad said, you know, even if we don't beat West Ham, okay, 2 games with 36 games to go, nothing is decided. But you know full well that people will start saying, "Oh, Chelsea are this, they're not ready, they're terrible, they're going to be worse than last season, they've gone backwards, this and that," or whatever. You know, people don't realise Argentina. What happened to them at the World Cup? Lost the first game against Saudi Arabia. Was everyone saying that Saudi Arabia was going to win the World Cup? No, they weren't. Remember what happened under Antonio Conte? We got smashed by Arsenal 3-0 at the Emirates. He made a tactical tweak. We went and we won the league.
I think it took him about 7 game weeks.
It took him 7. Bro, it was game week 7. We got smashed by Arsenal 3-0 at Emirates. Right? He switched to the back 3 and we went and won the league. I'm not saying we're going to win the league. But if you have a bad start, right? Let's say we don't win our first couple of games. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't dictate any season outcomes for us. And that's what people need to realise.
Yeah, I think we'll probably see the same team that started yesterday, apart from, like I said, I think Neto moves to left, and I think Esteban is going to start. You know, we might see the lap of a João Pedro, but I doubt it. But yeah, listen, we like you said, Charlie, even if we don't win, it's not a massive issue, but it would be nice to win.
Of course it would, yeah.
Yeah, but the social media will just absolutely flip, and rivals will lose their minds, but that's just part of the game, isn't it?
You know, I checked out West Ham Fan TV, mate. I've just gone back just to see the titles of the fan cams. This is they did 5, right?
This is the outside Stadium of Light.
It's outside the Stadium of Light. First title, we're going down. Second title, relegation season. Third title, we're so boring. Our midfield is pony. We can't beat Sunderland. I'm sorry, we're beating West Ham. We are beating West Ham.
Well, I think we'll beat West Ham as well.
Our titles of the fan cams if we don't.
Oh, that's great. Honestly, I mean, they're crap. They are crap. I mean, they hate their owners. They hate the transfer. There's no unity within that fan base. Like it's not like they had a good season last year. I'll tell you where it's gone wrong for West Ham is they tried playing expansive football and it just doesn't fucking work if you don't have the players. David Moyes was the best one. you don't know how good you know. What's the saying?
You don't know what you have until it's gone.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't know what you have until it's gone. So I actually think Potter's a good manager. I do, but I don't think he can do it in a year. I think he needs a couple years. We saw that.
He also hasn't got the squad. The squad's terrible.
There you go. So I do. I mean, he has literally proven that you can turn a team. Because Brighton used to be managed by Chris Hughton, and they used to sit back and hoof the ball up the pitch. They weren't expansive, and Potter transformed Brighton. It's not going to happen straight away with West Ham. I think it's going to be another painful season for them if they do stay up. So
do in the next 2 weeks, but yeah,
I mean, if they play for a draw, mate, I do think there's potential for genuinely another 0-0 or something like that. But I don't think they will. I think they're under pressure to go out and play.
I will say this
though. Didn't we lose 3-1 when Graham Potter was our manager to them? Or
no,
I think we drew against West Ham. No, we beat them because Felix scored that goal, didn't he?
Yeah, we beat them 3-1.
Which year did we lose 3-1 to them? Or 3? 2-1.
Oh, Pochettino, we lost. Chukwuemeka scored and we lost 3-1.
Yes, that's it. That's 3-1.
Yes, I remember. Then we played Cho as a left winger. Can't forget that one.
That was Caicedo's debut and he gave a pen away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone was thinking we just spent 100 million on some bum. But hey, Caicedo's the man now. So there you go. What I will ask you guys as well about is, what do you think about Pedro Neto? I mean, if Esteval comes in and plays on that right-hand side, I mean, you wouldn't put him on the left. That does force Neto onto the other side. And I guess that's a compliment to how valuable he is in this team. But at the same time, I much prefer seeing him on the right. I think he was our best player in the Club World Cup. And I think he's continued his form, to be honest with you. Although the Palace game was slightly underwhelming. His pre-season was good against Milan and Leverkusen. There's almost a part of me that thinks we need to stick with Neto a little bit more and see if he can produce as well. Because he's done it for the past month and a bit, however long. So why can't he continue that vein of form?
Well, he can.
But you just think from the left?
Well, look, I'm not saying that Esteval's going to start every single week on the right. He won't. But it's just great to have those options, you know? It is really good to have the options of, all right, we can play Esteval right, let's put Neto left. Or if we don't want to play Esteval 1 week, we play Neto right and we play someone else on the left. Like, this could be a sort of a breakthrough season for Neto in terms of his career at Chelsea. He obviously stayed fit for the whole of last season, which was no guarantees given his injury record at Wolves. A bit slow, but he started to contribute towards the back end, did a very good Club World Cup. And, you know, you get him someone with movement in the box, get him someone that can get on the end of his crosses, and his numbers will drastically improve. And I don't see any reason why he won't have a good season this season. Sure, you know, he's not going to start every single game, but right now he probably is Chelsea's best / most consistent wide player. Yeah, and so he should be starting. Yeah,
I think he's very good, especially that Club World Cup, and I think he's got disrespected a lot in recent weeks and months. I think people saying they would rather sell him than Madueke, and he's a waste and he doesn't do anything. I think he's a quality player that can do the job on the left and the right at a very high level.
He's the only player who... Go on.
No, and I think as of now, like I said, obviously it's still early to judge Gittins and that, but just based off the couple minutes in pre-season and the game yesterday, I think right now I would rather see Esteval on the right and Gittins and Neto on the left than have Gittins on the left and bench Esteval. But it's options, it's good options, and I think I don't see a world where we should be benching Neto at all, to be honest.
He's the only player that, if he didn't get GA, I'd still appreciate what he does. He's the hardest worker in our team. He works harder than Caicedo. I'll say that right now. Neto is such a hustler. And do you know the thing is as well, like, I guess if you were going to compare him to any winger that we had, I'd probably say Willian in terms of like the defensive shift that he puts in. But even Willian used to really piss me off some seasons. He used to really annoy me. I remember he had that great season under Lampard, and then he was desperate for that new contract, wasn't he? And then we let him go, and I thought, hallelujah, because I knew he could. He always had one great season, then he wasn't so great, and I was just, I can't be bothered with it. And I just don't feel that way about Neto at all. I feel like I can count on him. I feel like he's reliable. I think he's a leader, or he certainly looks like it on the pitch. And then you add GA to his game as well. You've got the complete winger, right? I think most teams in world football would love to have a player like that, because you've got all these teams complaining, or fans more so, I'd say, saying, oh, he doesn't track back enough. He doesn't look like he cares about the badge. Like, we haven't really got that problem. I don't know if there's any players at the moment that I could look at in the Chelsea squad and go, he doesn't look committed.
It sounds silly, doesn't it? But it's the reality of it.
It's beautiful, though.
That's
it's beautiful.
The big thing, like, and that's the great thing right now, is that you've got every player that's in the squad wants to be here. And secondly, all the signings we made this summer so far, they all wanted Chelsea as their first choice. They all wanted to join the club. And that, for me, makes a big difference as well.
100%. Nina, what's your take?
I love Pedro Neto. I think, he's great. I think we've always wanted more goals from him, but I don't think he's ever really been a goal-scoring winger. And I think part of why he was so appreciated at Wolves was, again, for his service. And he's a great crosser. He's a great playmaker. And he's so quick on his feet as well. And that's another thing that's really, really great about him. I think often he beats his man. He tracks back, like you said. He's got the defensive qualities there, and you never have to question his effort. He's never a player that would sulk and kick his feet up or argue to take a penalty or anything like that. He gets on with it. He understands his role. He's versatile as well, and Maresca knows that, because he happily will switch him. But I think Maresca will utilise Neto a lot more, and I think he will be definitely a regular starter. Hopefully he can get some more goals, but yeah, I think Neto, like you say, brings so much more. And if we're sat here all collectively still saying and advocating for him, even though he's not really scored many goals, then that tells you something about him, doesn't it? And again, it just goes a lot more than just providing goals. And I think he's one of the players that has now formed a lot of partnerships with the pitch. So where Charlie expressed concern about bringing in so many new players again in the front line, then you can count on one who's already spent all this time with our players last season, and you can't discount that. At Chelsea, I think we appreciate it because of how much turnover we've had in the squad, so it's good to have some sort of stability there. I personally don't think Esteval will start against West Ham. I could be wrong, but maybe Maresca will opt for Esteval to be a bit more of like a secret weapon that he introduces when games are a bit difficult, when we look a little bit lethargic, inject a little bit of pace and a little bit of that kind of unpredictability, because I think that's what Esteval offers, and he could be a great super sub for us, at least until he eases a little bit more. But even like watching him dribble against Crystal Palace, like I said to Alex, it literally looked like the ball is glued to his feet when he's in and out of players, and he had like 2-3 markers on him at times. So if he can do that, he can get out these tight spaces a little bit, maybe better with the pinpoint crosses. We know he's got a great shot on him as well, but you're looking at a player who could be really, really dangerous there. But I think he'll ease him in a little bit. I don't think he'll start on against West Ham. Could be wrong though.
One player we haven't spoken about. We have to speak about Robert Sanchez. Charlie, you weren't particularly happy with him, especially regarding the free kick yesterday.
Yeah, I felt it was poor with the free kick. To be perfectly honest, yeah, okay, it struck very well. It struck quickly, takes it quickly. It's the only place it can go is the keeper's side, and he just seemed unprepared for it, and almost felt like it just went through his hands. He didn't have a particularly bad game in general. But yeah, I just don't. The distribution wasn't great. Look, some of it was quick and some of it was accurate, but a lot of it was wayward. A lot of it were just booting it up the pitch for the sake of it. And it wasn't particularly bad yesterday, but I just, I'm not seeing anything that we don't know about already. This guy he's just not good enough to be the Chelsea goalkeeper. We all know that. But I did feel for the free kick. We got away with that, obviously, with that rule that no one really knew even existed, but we got away with it. I just felt that free kick, it was particularly poor from him, in my view.
Is there anything else though, Charlie, apart from the free kick? I mean,
distribution wasn't great. He didn't really have any saves to make, to be honest. He made one or two.
The Mateta shot, and I thought he claimed crosses pretty well.
Yeah, no, look, but I'm saying it wasn't a terrible game, but I just felt in that one moment, which could have been game defining had we not been bailed out. Yes, it was hit powerfully. Yes, it was hit quickly. As a goalkeeper, you have to expect it to be going keeper's side. That's the only side it's going.
I don't think he saw it before. Even they ruled out the goal, he was telling the defenders that I couldn't see anything. Listen,
it was a massive hole in the wall.
Yeah, but Gurhi pushed Caicedo, didn't he? That's
when
why
he pushed him. He got like as soon as he struck the ball, Gurhi was moving. So maybe it's like anyway. I like you said. I think the distribution was sometimes on, sometimes off. But I think that's what you're going to get with Sanchez this season. Inconsistency, some good games, some bad games. Sometimes you think he's off his head, he's taking something before going and goal, and the other time he's, I don't know what he's doing. So I think that's the reality of it. And like we said earlier, it doesn't make sense because we clearly went in for a goalkeeper. So to not sign one also again doesn't make sense. So yeah, man, I think that's just good.
What's your take, Nina?
You know what my take is, Alex, or shall I sound like a broken record? Shall I? I don't trust Robert Sanchez, and I don't think I ever will. I don't like him as a goalkeeper, but he's our player, so I'll back him. I'm not going to be a fan who just chooses to slate everything he does. He'll have his good games, but he'll also have his moments like that. And I just don't think he's a goalkeeper that is ever going to be a goalkeeper that wins you a league. That's what I'm going to say.
You can't rely on him. You can't rely on him.
He's not reliable. No.
I mean, the argument from the other side is you don't think he can win us a league, but he won us the final against PSG. He was very involved.
Like I said, games in isolation, he can be good in games in isolation.
Solely down to him either, by the way.
But I mean, it's a different story if Doué scores that goal.
He made some very good saves and he was very good. But let's not try and make it out that we won the Club World Cup because of him.
He was a huge part of it.
But that might be Sanchez though. He might have a great game midweek in the Champions League and then cost us the game on Saturday.
That's what I'm saying.
So, I mean, because the way I feel is I've tried to go in this season with a more open mind. I genuinely feel like, I'm not going to apologize for most of the things I say. I genuinely believed in a lot of the criticisms that I put out there, and at the time, I could justify it, and I could still justify what I've said because, again, at the time, but in hindsight, things change. Things can change. I'm going into this season with more of an open mind about a number of things. The manager being one, the style of play being two, and the goalkeeper is probably the third one. And I just think that there's got to be a reason that we've stuck with Sanchez. I mean, there's got to be a reason. There've been plenty of goalkeepers in this market that we could have had instead of Sanchez. Petrovic is one. Magnan is another. Donnarumma is another. James Trafford is another goalkeeper we got linked with. Man City have got him. How pissed off were Chelsea fans if we would have signed James Trafford? You just seen Pep Guardiola pick him up. So what does that say about us? There must be something there. Again, we're going to find out. And I just think that we just need to look at it and see what happens, because I thought Sanchez had an all right game. I didn't have a problem with what he did. So I was actually surprised when you criticised him, Charles. I was surprised because
it was for the free kick. It wasn't for his. This is what people like misunderstanding. It wasn't for his overall performance. It was more specifically for the free kick and just what he's going to be like over a course of a season. I didn't have a major issue with his performance in general yesterday. It was mainly, in my opinion, I felt he should have done better with the free kick.
Fair enough. Well, listen, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up there. It's been a good point. I mean, Ziad, did you have anything you wanted to add to it before we wrap it up?
No, listen, I believe the only reason we haven't signed a goalkeeper is because Chelsea haven't found the right opportunity to. I don't think it's the case of they're happy with Sanchez. I think if Milan won't be in, what about it, I think Magnan will be a Chelsea player and he will be a number one goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Fair play. Well, listen, big up to all of you. Really appreciate you coming on, Ziad. Thanks so much, Charlie and Nina, as well as always, for coming on. Guys, we'll have all of the links below for everyone's channel, so go and check them out. Subscribe. You got Nina's Chelsea Corner, Blue Brother, and then Ziad, your Ziad Zone. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's the one. So go and subscribe to all three of them, guys, if you haven't already. Subscribe to Chelsea Fan TV as well, and we will keep the podcast going on a regular basis after every single match. Big up to everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.